In this video, I want to share something simple but real, what a regular day looks like for me as a full-time software developer at the office. Now, during the pandemic, like many people, I worked remotely from home for about a year. And honestly, I hated it. There was no real boundary between work and life. It felt like I was constantly in a weird in-between state, always kind of working, but never really relaxed. So nowadays, I actually go to the office pretty much every day. And it's made a huge difference. Here in Finland, most developers are supposed to work 7.5 hours a day. But the system is pretty flexible, mainly in the tech industry, especially as a developer. Some days I might work 6 hours, some days 8. As long as the average over the week comes out to 7.5 per day, it's fine. That flexibility helps a lot. My typical office hours are roughly 9 to 5, give or take. I don't like rushing in the mornings, so I usually aim to arrive around 9. I use public transportation to get to the office, which takes around 40 to 50 minutes door to door. The commute's not bad. I usually read a book on the way, sometimes Instagram videos, sometimes podcasts, sometimes just silence to let my mind warm up. Once I arrive, the first thing I do is check my calendar. Some days there are no meetings, but most days there's at least one. Sometimes it's a project-specific meeting, sometimes a general company-wide sync, or something in between. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of general meetings. They often feel like a waste of time. After that, I go through the backlog. I use a mix of tools, ClickUp, Jira, though personally I prefer Jira. It's just a bit more structured. I spend around 30 minutes looking at tickets, checking what I need to work on, reviewing comments or updates, and planning out the day in my head. Then I grab a cup of coffee to start my work with that. Usually it's coffee, but sometimes tea feels better to start off with. I usually start working with a good 1 to 2 hour block of focused coding. If I'm in the zone, it flies by. If I'm struggling to focus, which happens, I'll put on some relaxed music or even listen to reading ASMR videos. Yeah, I know that sounds weird, but it helps. Something about the quiet page turning and soft sounds just helps my brain settle. This is usually the most productive part of the day, unless there's a meeting stuck right in the middle. At some point mid-morning or late morning, there's usually a meeting or two. These could be sprint planning, daily stand-ups, technical discussions, or just random syncs. Often, there's no need to prepare unless it's me who needs to run the show. And while meetings can sometimes help align teams, they can also break your flow completely. Now it's lunchtime, and in most Finnish companies, people usually go out to eat. There's a 25% discount on food as an employee benefit, which makes it a decent deal. But still, for me, I don't like eating out every day. First, I get bored of the food pretty quickly, and second, even with the discount, it adds up fast by the end of the month. This is just how a lot of Europeans roll. They go out and enjoy the social lunch. But I prefer to eat at my desk, usually something I brought from home while watching some YouTube videos. That's my 30-minute break, which by the way, doesn't count toward the 7.5 hours. After lunch, I jump into the second half of the day. This is usually another 3 to 4 hours of work, continuing on the tickets I started earlier, reviewing code, fixing bugs, or testing features. Of course, I take small breaks here and there, going to the bathroom, grabbing another coffee or some water, and just trying to reset my brain a bit. By this time, the fatigue starts to set in. Sitting behind a screen for so many hours, your body might be fine, but your mind starts to get heavy, especially if you're hitting a wall with a bug or feature. And that's the part nobody talks about. Sure, it might look easy, you're just sitting, typing, and pushing code. But sometimes you spend hours on a bug you can't fix, or a feature you need to build that has no clear solution. And even ChatGPT doesn't know how to help. That mental pressure adds up. It's not physical labor, but it wears you down. Being a developer means constantly solving problems. And sometimes those problems don't want to be solved. You stare at the screen, you try 5 different things, nothing works, and it's draining. Eventually, it's time to log time. We have to describe which tickets we worked on and how much time we spent. Sometimes it's easy, Other times, it's hard to even remember what you did because the day just blurred into a cycle of meetings, messages, and debugging. But that's how it ends. A few quick checks before leaving, clean up the desk, send any last messages, maybe write down something to start with tomorrow. And then I leave the office, hop on the metro or bus, and head home, tired, sometimes frustrated, but also satisfied when things go well. That's a typical day in my life as a developer at the office. It's not flashy, it's not glamorous, but it's real. If you're thinking about working as a developer in Finland, or you're just curious about what it's like, I hope this gave you a little behind the scenes. If you liked the video or if you want to hear more about developer life, SaaS building, or balancing full-time work with side projects, subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.